Hello, friends. This is Pastor Russ, and it's Monday, so it's time for our mini Bible study. And we're studying the book of Genesis, and right now we're in chapter 10 of the book of Genesis. And what we studied last Monday was chapter 9, which talked about after they had landed, after just about a year of waiting for the waters to recede, and then they finally came out of the ark. And there was an incident that happened between the three brothers and Noah, and ended up where Japheth and Shem received blessings from their father Noah, and Ham, the middle child, received curses, especially cursing one of his sons, Canaan, which kind of leads us into today's chapter, which is really talking about the three sons of Noah and where they went and the descendants of each of the sons of Noah. And but before we do that, I just want to say that chapters 10 and 11 here of Genesis I consider to be a transition chapters, in that we're transitioning from the very beginning, the story of creation, Adam and Eve in the garden, introduction of sin into the world. That's the very beginning of Genesis. Then we have the flood story and Noah, and now we have the repopulating of the earth. And it's going to eventually, by the time we get to chapter 12, focus in just on one person, one family, and that's the person and family of Abraham. And so we'll get into that in a couple of weeks. But now we're going to read what's known as the Table of Nations. These are the nations, the people that proceeded from the three sons of Noah. So reading in chapter 10 of Genesis, this is the account of Shem, Ham, and Japheth, Noah's sons, who themselves had sons after the flood. Now, I want you to notice that these list of names, this table of nations, is all the male side. So just listing the sons. It's not listing any of the other families. So here's the Japhites, which are the sons of Japheth. The sons of Japheth: Gomer, Magog, Madai, Javan, Tubal, Meshech, and Tyrus. The sons of Gomer: Ashkenaz, Riptah, and Togarmah. The sons of Javan: Elisha, Tarshish, the Kittim, and the Rodanim. From these, the maritime people spread out into their territories by their clans within their nations, each with its own language. Now here's the Hamites, the sons of Ham: Cush, Mizraim, Put, and Canaan. The sons of Cush: Seba, Havilah, Sabta, Ramah, and Sabteka. The sons of Ramah: Sheba and Detan. Cush was the father of Nimrod, who grew to be a mighty warrior on the earth. He was a mighty hunter before the Lord, and that's why it is said, like Nimrod, a mighty hunter before the Lord. The first centers of his kingdom were Babylon, Erech, Akkad, and Calneh in Shinar. From that land he went to Assyria, where he built Nineveh, Rehoboth, Calah, and Resen, which is between Nineveh and Calah, that is the great city. Mizraim was the father of the Ludites, the Anamites, the Lehabites, Nephtuhites, Peruthusites, Casluhites, from which the Philistines came, and the Caphtorites. Canaan was the father of Sidon, his firstborn, and of the Hittites, the Jebusites, the Amorites, the Girgashites, the Hivites, the Arkites, the Sinites, the Arvadites, the Zemarites, and the Hamthites. Later, the Canaanite clans scattered, and the borders of Canaan reached from Sidon toward Gera as far as Gaza, and then toward Sodom, Gomorrah, Admah, and Zeboilim as far as Lasha. These are the sons of Ham by their clans and languages in their territories and nations. The sons were also born to Shem, whose older brother was Japheth. Shem was the ancestor of all of the sons of Eber. The sons of Shem, Elam, Asher, Arphaxad, Lud, and Aram. The sons of Aram, Uz, Hol, Gether, and Meshech. Arphaxad was the father of Shelah, and Shelah the father of Eber. 2 sons were born to Eber. One was named Peleg because in his time the earth was divided, and his brother was named Joktan. Joktan was the father of Almodad, Sheleph, Hazar-Maveth, Jerah, Hadaram, Uzal, Diklah, Obal, Abimelech, Sheba, Ophir, Havilah, and Jobab. All of these were sons of Jocham. The region where they lived stretched from the Mesha toward the Sephar in the eastern hill country. These are the sons of Shem by their clans and languages, in their territories and nations. These are the clans of Noah's sons, according to their lines of descent within their nations. From these, the nations spread out over the earth after the flood. So just a little bit of talk here about some believe that all of the peoples of the earth, of course, came from these 3 sons because they were the only family left after the flood. And it's generally believed that they went in different directions. The Japheth and his clan primarily went north, perhaps a little bit west, but primarily went north. And Ham, primarily his descendants and himself went south, especially southwest, into Africa. And so a lot of the tribes that were mentioned were African tribes. Shem primarily stayed right around in the area that they were at. They believed that they were in the town of Babel. That's what most scholars believe. And that, if anything, they may be spread out a little bit to the southeast. And so that's where the peoples began. Now, it's not as simple to say that all the races of the people began there. So we can't say, for example, that Ham was black and all of the black persons in the world descend from Ham. We can't say that. Nor can we say that the Aryan race, the Caucasian race, all descended from Japheth. Now, probably those European countries probably descended from the descendants of Japheth, and then they did become the white Aryan race. And many of the African peoples then did develop darker skin and become black. But we really can't say there's a direct line from one to the other, but I think just generally. But we find here that most of the people stayed right around that area, and we're going to be reading about how in the next chapter, how having one race, the human race, one language that they all spoke in common, created quite a problem. But we're going to read about that in the next chapter. So I hope you can stay with us for next week as we continue on with chapter 11, and then we get into the story of Abram, who becomes Abraham. So until I see you again next week, hope you have a wonderful day. And this is Pastor Russ saying, God bless you. Amen.